Okay, the final section, the one that you've been waiting for, consists of the auto 9 circuit, which generates 455 kilohertz higher frequency than the station you want to listen to, okay? And the station comes in, mixes with that frequency, and we get that frequency, the station frequency plus the autodyne frequency, or we'll call it the local oscillator, and the local oscillator minus the station frequency, which gives you 455 kilohertz. That gets filtered out by this bandpass filter. Then after that it gets amplified, filtered, demodulated, and then we come out with audio. All right, now I got some good news. I went back and I had another one of these that I started, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to get a second one and do the series, and I did. And I went back to this one and finished it up, okay? And lo and behold, it only draws like 14, 15 milliamperes. So all the fussing and fighting that I did in the previous videos was caused by a transformer. That's the only thing it could be, because the speaker was working, the audio circuit was working, but it was drawing a lot of current. And there's two transformers in there, and I suspect the yellow one, okay? Now, let me show you something. If you are rich, or if you are really, really, really going to get serious, you have got to buy one of these things. This is a HX FR300. They're around 200 bucks or so. But a buddy of mine named Ken had bought a similar item from Circuit Specialist in Phoenix, Mesa, Arizona, that's under 200 bucks. But this thing, what it is a desoldering tool. What it does is it heats up. This thing gets the tip. Whoops, let me get around here. The tip of this thing gets real hot, and it's got a vacuum gun. And if I take this thing and put it up against, let me see, do I have a circuit board here? Nah. If I imagine that this is a circuit board that has parts on it. If I put this on a pad and immediately vacuum, and I also learned a trick. If you do it upside down like this, solder doesn't get stuck in this tip and goes back in here to this chamber. And if you'll wiggle the tip on the part lead, if you do all the leads of the part and you turn the board like this, it'll drop out. So this is the most valuable tool I've got. So I can disassemble, and I have done this with a 1-watt transceiver. I've taken one completely apart and moved all the parts to another board, a later version of the board that Diz and I were working on, and it worked. So anyway, all right, so okay, now I got this constructed, put together, and right after I posted last video, I said I thought I was going to have to modify this thing. Well, it turns out Dan and others were right. I just didn't look at it close enough, but it mounts with the 2 screws that hold down the cap here. Works nicely. You have to be very careful on the wires with the antenna, because those are really, really, really fine wires. They're smaller than number 40. Now, the reason why there's so many turns on this ferrite loop is that we're working at low frequencies. If you're listening to 550 AM to 1350, 1420 AM, you are going to need a low inductance, because that 1/2 pi square root of LC. All right, so we got this together. Now let me hook up my, let's see, what else? Oh, I told you. Oh, this one doesn't have the, oh, looky there. I had a 50-50 chance of getting it right, didn't I? And I put it on the wrong side. Okay, you can see I did the little white stripe. Okay, let me go fix this. I'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take too much time. So now you can see that I've got a white marker instead of a red with a white background. I have a red background with a white marker. So I can tune my dial forward. So going back to here, the ferrite rod with the antennas held with this piece, which I told you I got in there correctly. What else is different? The thing is that you just be very careful looking at the diagram that you from the back of the board, the bottom side, that this small loop, which is the small loop on the diagram, this loop right here, that the left lead goes off here to this pad, the right lead goes down to this point here, all right, and on the large loop, the right lead goes all the way down to this pad right up close, and then the left-hand lead goes down to this ground point here. And they put it here, but you could do it there because this is the case of the IF transformer B3. Okay, so enough of that. All right, now we're ready to power this thing up. I'm going to use my lab supply because I want to measure the current again. So this is negative. This is plus. Oh, it's on. Okay. And I hear a lot of noise. Let's tune.
Peter followed Kim at a distance to the high priest court.
Su tratamiento y comprarle una garantía. Yo, por ejemplo, a las cajas
Turn down the volume here. I've got a lot of noise. Let me turn off some things and let's see what happens to the noise. Well, if I turn one thing off here, it turns on my power supply. No.
Varían entre lo más barato que he visto es entre $323 y a $400 en promedio, pero si usted quiere información de las permisas.
Yeah. I got a lot of noise. All right, that's the trouble with AM radio. It's noisy and a lot of people gave it up. But let's see here. Okay, so it tunes the whole band and I get AM stations. So let me show you a couple things. All right, one of the things is I've got a station here and I'd have to listen to it until they ID'd or go and look at online to see all my local AM stations, find out what frequency it's supposed to be on. Let's say it's supposed to be on 620, so what I can do is I can move the dial to 620, turn it on, and I don't hear the station. All right. There are two adjustments, trimmer caps on this variable. They're here and here. One of them goes to the input, which adjusts the bandpass filter, and the other one goes to the local oscillator. What I want to do is I want to find out which one of these caps is the local oscillator. Now, I don't know, so I'll just play with one. That one. This cap is this cap right here. Okay? That's the one where you set the dial. So you tune in a station.
Nothing is more important than your vehicle's brakes. Keep it. Ford logo. Wheatgrass cheese, fresh vegetable cheese. It's worlds away from the old spray-dried, freeze-dried. Guarantee. Also, save up to 50%.
Well, anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time. So the adjustment is simple. You adjust this one to set the dial, this one to set the bandpass, offset 455 kilohertz from the station. So you tune this one for maximum signal. So let me find a weak station.
Once you've made that decision to get rid of your timeshare for
There's a weak one.
Llega exactamente igual. No tengo ningún ahorro y no se lo recomendaría.
Tune this for maximum.
No de paneles solares. Eso me dijo. O le di tu tarjeta, pero no traía eso si te llama.
Okay. So that'll make sure I can get weak stations. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Easy peasy. Now you can do some fine tuning. Now if you did not have the 455 kilohertz marker generator or signal generator to tune the IFs like I did from the beginning, then very carefully, do not touch the, in fact, the local oscillator looks like I tuned it maybe, whatever, maybe less than one turn. The red IF transformer has very few turns on it, less than one probably, because remember it had to go to a high frequency, 455 plus the highest station. So the highest station I can get is 1600. Okay, see this dial's 160 times 10. They didn't bother to just put 1600, 1300, etc. down here, which would have been easier. But so you can go and adjust these. But they're going to, since I have them tuned, they're going to be set. So, all right, that was a long series, and I apologize for all the hiccups, but you learned something, I hope. And final assembly is to take 2 AA batteries. Also, in your journal or whatever, whenever you put 2 batteries, oh look, I'm collecting wire clippings. Make sure, look in here before you seal it, put the back on it, make sure there are no metal filings in there. This is a magnet, and I've magnetized my screwdrivers and everything else. So put the back on here. Oh, I didn't put the batteries in. Jeez. All right, put the batteries in. And I'll tell you about the log thing in a minute. This thing is close. The springs always fight me. Now, what am I doing here? Okay. No coordinate. Put the batteries in there and then write down somewhere what date you put them in there, and remind yourself to come back and don't leave batteries in appliances and test equipment and stuff for long periods of time, or it will they'll start leaking on you. Even the Duracells.
Mismos a nuestras casas. La respuesta.
I've met people who don't have any. They couldn't detect.
Do you see what happened? I put the batteries in there and turned it on. Look.
And turned to dust or anything.
The noise went away, which means that my power supply, which is a switching power supply, is generating a lot of noise. So I learned something. Just if you get a lab supply, get one that weighs 20 pounds, 10 kilos or whatever. It has a mass of 10 kilos, because the switching supplies always generate RFI, radio frequency interference. So that's for $4.61. You come out with, that's not a bad radio. And the thing is that when we learn, couple of things in the, well, a lot of things, I hope. But to me, the first important thing is pay attention to these current drains. And if you build this section right here and it draws a lot of current, then you've got a bad transformer. Now, Dan said something about being bribed. I can be bribed, and here's what you do. Somebody buy me another radio. I don't need 3, but here's what we'll do. If you buy me another radio and send it to me, and you can figure out, using my call sign, you can figure out where to ship it. But if you buy another one of these, if somebody buys another one of these, I will build it the same way, but I will pull a Matt Damon out of The Martian, and we will science the shit out of it. And what I'll do is, every part that I put in, I'm going to measure, okay? I'll use an inductance meter to measure the impedances, and we can determine what the turn ratios are on these transformers. The kit manufacturer tells us nothing about the parts. We can find out what these turn ratios are. We can figure out the impedance. We can do the calculations on C and L and figure out why it comes out for 55 kilohertz. I'll use SPICE to model the thing and simulate it. I can show you how to measure the coupling coefficient between 2 inductors, and we'll even do some electromagnetics, okay? If you're interested, but you know, like I say, I'm not going to spend another $4.61. I am that cheap. No. If you're interested. But this has been fun. I enjoyed it. And sorry I took up 5 or 6 hours or more of your life. But education's expensive no matter how you get it. I think I covered everything. The only thing I left undone is this resistor here. I'll leave that as an exercise for the student. I've always wanted to say that on video. So, in less than 15 minutes, the final, I've got an AM radio that works just hunky-dory for $4. These things, when they first came out, the 7 transistor radio back in 1957, when they first came out, 62 years ago, they charged $35 to $100. And I think this thing right here, you can pay up to $40 for it, whatever. And I don't, you know, I understand that, you know, guy that's going to sell one of these on eBay for $50. Should I put this one on eBay? Anyway, they're not going to sell very many, but they don't have to. They can sell one, and they made $40 profit. So, all right, economics, world trade. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to go back to this hunk of junk and figure out why it's drawing. Let me do it. Let's see here. I got it together. Let's test it. Test it because it's, let's see here. Now, we know it's going to generate a lot of noise with the, I could put batteries in there. I found out when I got it together and I put the batteries in it, I have invented a winter hand warmer because this transformer gets hot. All right, let's turn it on. 408 milliamperes times 3. That's 1.2. That's almost 1.5 watts. There's no way that 2 AA batteries are going to run this thing for very long. Doesn't even receive very well, does it? Yeah, the stations are weak, and I think that's just the audio section's just not, you can see it's distorted and what have you, and that's just the audio section. So, I don't think I'm going to waste much more time of my life on this one. I might, but I'm going to set it aside because I got another project I need to do in the next few days. So, again, got long-winded and I apologize. It's just the way I am. So, you have now, if you followed along and built one of these, electronics is not a spectator sport. if you want to learn something, you can spend all your life watching videos on YouTube like this one, but it's not going to mean anything to you until you go and actually sit down and build one of these things and come up with something that's working, and you can take it to work or to school or wherever, to your breakfast club with.
And we'll send you the free silver President Trump Freedom Coin and the free My Pillow.
A coin.
Just go to MikeOnline.com.
The AM radio band is going to be like watching infomercials on TV, I guess, or whatever. They're going to sell you coins and stuff. All right, I'm done. Thank you very much. End of series, end of tape. Film at 11. Okay, I took the radio outside and was listening around, get away from the Faraday shield. Somebody posted that I was crazy or something about polarization or field orientation with the antenna, and let me demonstrate that. Let me just turn this on.
Pues, por supuesto, toda la eliminatoria.
Here's a station.
Ochoa, Chaca, Salcedo, Moreno, Gallardo, Edson.
Okay, let me set this down.
Pizarro, Jiménez, Chucky, los 11 México por disputar, de la mano de Martino ante la selección.
See, I can turn this thing and orient it like so, and the station almost goes away. It has to do with the orientation of the magnetic rod with respect to where the station is. So you can use this as a direction finder. Also, you can do this for vertical versus horizontal. So, you know, when we, if I were to do a series of science the shit out of it, I can, you know, give you a more detailed description of the electromagnetic sphere, you know, Lenz's law, Maxwell's equations, but anyway, something interesting for you to do. And I'm going to leave it this as an exercise for the student, but when you build one of these things, go look at where the radio station tower is, and then in a horizontal position, rotate this thing and see where the minimum is compared to where the station is, etc. And then move 5 miles away, do it again, and see if the two vectors point to where the tower is. That's it. I promise not to come back.